Good morning, students. Today we are going to start a new chapter in chemistry, which will be electrolysis, given in chapter 6. So, before we come to the main part of this chapter, let us have a short introduction to this chapter first. Electrolysis, as the name only says, it is the decomposition of chemical compounds by the electric current or by passing electric current to it. But one thing to be noted here that the chemical compounds can be decomposed on passing current to it only when the compound is the aqueous solution or can be in the molten state. That is, in a solid state, chemical compounds can never get decomposed on passing current to it. So, electrolysis is the process of decomposition of chemical compounds in the aqueous solution or in the molten state when current is passed through it. So, these chemical compounds are the salt solution. That means if you take the salt in an aqueous solution form or the salt is taken in a molten state, then it is capable of getting decomposed when we pass current to it. But remember, only the salt cannot be decomposed, even acids and bases can also be decomposed on passing current to it. So we have acids and bases which can also decompose, and this solution or these compounds which decomposes on giving current to it, they are called electrolytes. They are called electrolytes. It means to say that electrolytes can also be a conductor which allows current to flow through it. Now when we talk about conductors can be of two types. One is the metallic conductor, the other is the electrolytic conductor. These all are the electrolytic conductors because they are in the solution state or in a molten state. But when the metals allow the current to flow through it, like copper wire, aluminum wire, silver wire, when we take only these metals which allows the current to flow through it, they are the metallic conductor. But the salt solution, acids and bases which are called electrolytes, they are called electrolytic conductor. Now what is the difference between metallic conductor and electrolytic conductor? We have an example of metallic conductor as copper. But when you take a salt of copper in a molten state or in a solution form like copper sulfate, then it becomes an electrolytic conductor. Same is the case when we take silver Ag, it is a metallic conductor, but its salt AgNO3 will become an electrolytic conductor. So what is the difference? In metallic conductor, the current flows due to the flow of electrons, but in electrolytic conductor, the current flows due to the flow of ions. It is the ions which make the current to flow through it. Second, when current flows through the metallic conductor, it undergoes a physical change, that it is a physical process. We cannot obtain any new substance. But when current is allowed to flow through the electrolytic conductor, it is a chemical change because we can obtain new substance now. We have these two important differences between metallic conductor and electrolytic conductor. electrolytes can be of three types depending upon the amount of current that is allowed to flow through it. If a large amount of current can flow through the electrolytes, it becomes a strong electrolyte. But when a small amount of current is allowed to flow through it, it is called weak electrolyte. And when the salt does not allow any amount of current to flow through it, either in a solution state or in a molten state, then it becomes a non-electrolyte. So we have non-electrolyte. Examples of strong electrolyte can be strong acids, strong bases, and some salts like hydrochloric acid, nitric acids, bases like sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, etc. Salts like sodium chloride, copper sulfate, etc. These are the strong electrolytes. Now weak electrolyte can be weak acids and weak bases. Weak acids like acetic acid, then we have phosphoric acid. This can be, so we can write H3PO4 phosphoric acid, CH3COOH which is acetic acid. This is weak acid or weak electrolytes. Then we have weak bases also which are weak electrolytes like NH4OH, ammonium hydroxide. Then we have calcium hydroxide. And then we have the salts which can be weak electrolyte like ammonium carbonate. Then we have lead acetate, CH3COO. These are weak electrolytes. And non-electrolytes, as you know, which does not allow any amount of current to flow through it, can be non-electrolytes. We have common examples like kerosene, alcohol, distilled water, benzene. These all can be non-electrolytes. Now let us come to the definition of strong, weak and non-electrolytes. Strong electrolytes are those electrolytes which allow large amount of current to flow through it, and as a result these electrolytes will undergo a complete dissociation. That is, the solution will contain only ions in it. Whereas in weak electrolytes, it allows only a small amount of current to flow through it, and as a result it will undergo a partial dissociation or partial ionization. Means all salts cannot ionize, and as a result only few ions will be present in the solution and some will be in the molecules form. That means the solution in weak electrolytes contain ions as well as molecules. Remember, strong electrolytes will contain only ions, weak electrolytes will contain ions as well as molecules, and non-electrolytes, since it does not allow current to flow through it, so there will be no dissociation or ionization at all. So as a result, there will be no ions in it. So solution will contain only molecules in it. Tomorrow we are going to discuss some more from this chapter, and your homework will be to learn this short part. Thank you.